Hello, it's Taylor Silverduke, registered dietitian specialized in celiac disease, and today I want to cover some common foods that you might see on a holiday table in the United States that could potentially hide gluten. So some of the common foods that you are going to want to double check when you are sitting down for a holiday dinner, or when you're contacting your host asking about what they plan on serving, or if you are a host who plans on serving safe gluten-free food to a family member or friend. So all of that said, my name is Taylor, registered dietitian specialized in celiac disease, but I've also been living with celiac for over 10 years, and let's dive into it. So we're going to start with mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes can sometimes hide gluten. In the 10 years that I've been living with celiac, I personally have never seen it, but depending on the mashed potatoes that you're using, I have heard that sometimes wheat starch can be in them, flavorings in them could be in there that's not gluten-free. Maybe you might see like a malt flavoring or something like that in there to add flavor. Someone might add some seasonings in that might not be gluten-free. There is a risk. I also have not come across this in the many years that I've been attending holiday dinners as a celiac, but I have heard that in some circles, some people will thicken mashed potatoes with flour, so that it is something to check on. So mashed potatoes, you're not like free and clear, they are something you do want to check. That said, I have had to look into a lot of mashed potatoes, like instant mixes, just to look for gluten, and I have yet to find one that does contain gluten. That does not mean that it does not exist. It just means I haven't found it. So it is unlikely, but still a possibility, so make sure you're double checking your mashed potatoes. Next is turkey. Turkey is naturally gluten-free, but depending on what it's prepared with or how it's prepared, it might not be safe. So make sure you're double checking the turkey. See if it was prepared with or bought with any broth, and make sure that broth is gluten-free. Ask if the turkey was stuffed, and if so, what was it stuffed with, because that also needs to be gluten-free. And also remember, you cannot just eat around the stuffing with turkey. So if someone did stuff a turkey with gluten, you can't just eat on the outside of the turkey. It is now considered high risk, and it is generally advised not to eat the turkey and to enjoy something else, because there is a very high risk for cross contact in that scenario. So turkey is something you're going to want to check. Ideally, the turkey is made completely gluten-free. Make sure it's not stuffed with any gluten, and it's seasoned with gluten-free items, and cross-contact precautions were taken with all of the foods that we talk about today, and also the turkey when it was prepared. Next is cornbread and corn pudding. This might seem obvious, but oftentimes these things are made with wheat flour despite their name, so make sure you're checking, make sure that wheat flour wasn't used, gluten-containing flour wasn't used if they are gluten-free, and make sure that they are safe. Next are casseroles. Casseroles can be a little bit tricky. It depends on the recipe, how they were made too. Ask about the seasonings that were used in the casserole. Ask if it was thickened with flour, or what was in the filling, if the filling had any gluten in it. Ask what soups or sauces are in it. Ask what it's topped with. Soups and sauces can be gluten-free, but they can also contain gluten. And many soups are thickened with wheat, so you're just going to want to make sure. And additionally, a lot of the toppings can contain gluten too, like breadcrumbs. Depending on the fried onions, those could be unsafe as well, so just make sure you are checking. With all of these things, just seeing if the person can send you a picture of the food label of the things that they plan on using or that they are using, or even just asking to see the label to make sure that it is safe. Never just take someone's like, you know, yeah, it's probably fine. You always want to make sure you're checking for yourself, because sometimes people don't know or they're unsure what to look for, and casseroles are one of the things that has oftentimes a lot of different ingredients that you're going to want to be making sure you're getting your eyeballs on. Next, we have cream sauces and gravies. Again, we're checking what the seasonings are. We're checking if it was thickened with flour, and or something else that contains gluten. And then also making sure that the gravy fat source is from a gluten-free source. So making sure if they're using like the turkey fat that was left at the bottom of a pan or something else like that, that like there wasn't any gluten there either. So make sure that you're checking on the gravies to make sure they're safe. If you are going to a holiday dinner, these are common on USA holiday dinner tables. And then finally, you're going to want to check anything with a crust. Make sure you're checking what the crust was made out of. Make sure they took cross-contact precautions when they prepared it. And also remember, no, you cannot just eat around the crust, unfortunately. This is another high cross-contact scenario. You're going to want to make sure if you are eating a pie, you're not just eating around the crust, but that the whole pie is gluten-free. So those are the things that you're going to want to look for when it comes to checking common holiday foods in the United States that are often on the table. This is not an all-inclusive list, but a place to start. And also, again, like I said, make sure you're asking for the food labels to make sure the ingredients in these things are gluten-free, and also make sure cross-contact precautions are being taken when these foods are prepared. If this is something that you need help with, I've got a lot of resources that can help you out. I'm a fellow celiac who has been living with this for over 10 years, so I've got lots of things that help make this so much more manageable. And I'm also a celiac dietitian, so I'm very familiar and very well versed on what exactly needs to happen in order to make sure your food is safe. So if that's something you're looking for, check out the description box down below for resources on this. And I hope that this was a helpful refresher. If you've got anything else to add, maybe you've got other holiday foods that you commonly see on the holiday table in the USA that people should look out for, or that you've run into that you want to make sure people are aware of, leave them down below in the comments. And all of that said, my name is Taylor Silverduke, registered dietitian specializing in celiac disease, and I will see you when I see you.